Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Erica. And in today's video, I have actually stolen a video idea from my dear friend, Jan Van. And of course, I will link her channel in my description box. She did this video a few weeks ago, and I went and watched the video, and then I promptly forgot that I'd watched the video. Jan and Shawnee and I, we have a group text. And after Jan popped her video up on her channel, Shawnee got a hold of us in our group text, and she said, I think I'm going to do that same video that Jan just did. And I'm like, oh, what video is that? And she said, you know, the 6 different categories, picking 3 palettes for each category, blah, blah, blah. And I said, I don't think I watched that video. I'm going to go have to watch that and find it. And Shawnee's like, Erica, I'm pretty sure you watched the video. So I go to Jan's video, and sure enough, I'd watched it. I'd commented like 3 or 4 times. I mean, I know I've said this before. I'm going to say it again. My brain is not always with me. So that has become a running joke for the 3 of us that I completely forgot I watched a video. And I'm pretty sure that Jan got this idea from Angelica Nikovic, so I will also link her channel in my description box as well. So there are 6 different categories of eyeshadows here, and the idea is to pick your top 3 palettes for each category. And I promise this will make sense as I show you the palettes and tell you what the categories are and whatnot. Now, there is one category that I switched out because I don't have a lot of high-end eyeshadow palettes. So I replaced the high-end eyeshadow palette category with my large eyeshadow palettes. And then I also added my own little category here, which is my most nostalgic category, my most nostalgic eyeshadow palettes. But before I get into the video, I did want to show you guys what I have on my eyelids today. I did use 3 little single shimmer, multi-chrome, duochrome shimmers from the UK indie brand Beauty Moon Cosmetics. And I have this shade right here. This is called Hera. It's getting a little flaky, so I don't want to drop anything on the floor. But this shade is in my outer part of my lids, and gosh, this is gorgeous. Buttery, thick, wonderful formula. And then I used this shade right here. Oops, if I can pick it up. This shade right here called Bohemian, which I used before on my channel, kind of in the middle of the lid, just a little strip of that. This beautiful green, but then it flips to purple duochrome shade. Love it. And then I did use this one right here called Arctic Circle towards the front part of the lid. I just hadn't used this yet. I hadn't used Hera yet either. Love all of these shades. They are just beautiful. And actually Hera, the brand owner, threw in with my order, which I thought was really sweet. And then for my mattes, where's my palette? I used the Fairy Tale palette that Saints, Angels, Sinners did in collaboration with Fairy Light. I used these 2 mattes right here, this one and this one, Aura and Angelic. I just wanted like a neutral base with some really pretty pops of color. I thought that would be fun today. So let's get into the actual video here, starting off with the first category, which is my top 3 neutral palettes in my collection. Now I have quite a few neutral palettes in my collection, but how I determined which top 3 palettes I was going to pull into each category is just whatever popped into my head, that's what I went with. Because I feel like if it popped into my head, it popped into my head for a reason. Does that make any sense? So the first palette is the Everyday Sparkle from Ladybug Glow, one of my favorite US indie brands. This is such a gorgeous neutral color story. However, the shimmers in here, this top row of shimmers right here, anything but neutral. Duochrome, multi-chrome, metallic, just really lovely flips. Just such a fun palette to play with. Yes, so happy that I picked this up. Now this brand does have a new palette coming out on the 30th. When I pop this up on the 29th, the next day, their palette will be coming out and I'm getting it. Oh, absolutely. I am basically obsessed with this brand. Then I have the Milani Soft and Sultry palette. And this looks awful because it's got all my fingerprints over the front of it. But this is such a lovely, cool toned color story, in my opinion. I've heard other people say this is more of a warm tone palette, and I don't see warm toned in here. I see cool, I see taupe. And taupe to me is a cool toned color. I picked this up off their website when they were having a sale. And then shortly after I got it, I realized or I heard that this is no longer being made. And I probably would have gotten 2 or 3 of these. I know that's totally ridiculous, but I just love this palette so much. I really probably would have done that. I did wear this to my wedding 3 years ago. So I have that like nostalgic love for this palette. And then my last palette here in the neutral category is the Colourpop Stone Cold Fox. Yes, my favorite neutral palette. And I do know that there are similar shades in this palette as in the Soft and Sultry from Milani. I don't care. I love having this. I know there's also similar shades in this palette to each other, like kind of repeat colors, but again, I don't care. I just love how this performs. I love the looks I've created with it. I love looks that anyone creates with this palette. I love them all. So yeah, this is my favorite neutral palette. Category number 2 are my top 3 rainbow or colorful palettes I have in my collection, starting off with the Be Perfect Stacy Marie Carnival 3 Love Tahiti palette. And this is just gorgeous. Beautiful. I love all the shades in here. I love all the different options in here. I even like how it's arranged. I love the formula of the shimmers and the mattes. You cannot go wrong with this palette. I'm telling you, if you want a good rainbow palette with tons of different options and a lovely stellar formula, highly recommend picking this up. I've used this a couple times on my channel, and I love the looks I can put together with this. Again, I love the looks anyone can put together with that palette. The next palette is the Utopia from Beauty Bay. And I just love how vibrant and bright these shades are. And I also have mentioned before that these shades stay very true to pan on my skin tone. I have kind of a weird, murky, golden, strange undertone on my skin. And so normally when I use brighter or more vibrant shades, it kind of dingies them up, and these don't get dingy at all. And my friend Allie sent this to me. This is very special in my collection. And the last one here is the Club Nebula that Kaleidos did in collaboration with Angelica Nikovis. This is one of my absolute favorite palettes. This was my favorite palette for a long time. It's still up there. It's in my top 5, I would say. And I do think this is rainbowy. I never really thought about that before. But looking at it, I just thought, yeah, it's pretty rainbowy. And this was the first palette that popped into my head when I thought of rainbow or colorful palettes. So I must have thought this was rainbow. I don't know, but it is very colorful. Gorgeous quality. I love the shimmers in here. They're very mysterious. Like they look one color in the pan. When you put them on your eyelids, they look different. Really, really a fun palette. And this, unfortunately, is a limited edition palette. And I just am really happy that I went for it and got this, because I wasn't going to do it. I felt like it was too expensive, but then I saw the color story and I'm like, and I'm thrilled that I have this. It truly is one of my favorite colorful palettes. The third category are my top 3 monochromatic palettes I have in my collection, starting off with the Flutter from Colourpop. Pretty packaging. And the tones in here are so lovely, very romantic, I would say. Mauve, wine, subtle with depth and light. I wore a look from this palette to my daughter's wedding. I didn't wear the palette to my daughter's wedding. That would have looked a little weird. But I just felt so elegant and so pretty with these shadows on my eyelids. I really did. I love this. So lovely. And this right here, it's kind of a press glitter, but it's pretty finely milled, and I've used it before and I really liked it. I usually don't like the real chunky press glitters, but this kind of formula is great. And then the next one is the Urban Decay Naked Honey palette, and I need to use this soon. Thought about filming with this soon, actually. I just love the golds in here, the mustards, browns, tans. It's just a lovely monochromatic palette, and the formula and the quality is stellar. This is the only Urban Decay palette I have in my collection, which I think is kind of weird because I love this. You'd think I'd want to get more, but I just haven't yet. I don't need to either. And then the last one in the monochromatic category is the Sweet Shot Pistachio palette from Beaushells Cosmetics. My favorite monochromatic palette, I would say, in my collection. I love green eyeshadows, and the formula and the quality of this palette is off the charts amazing. I have all of these except for the waffle cone, the brownish one, and I love them all, but this is my absolute favorite. So pretty. The next category are my top 3 mini or small palettes of my collection. I'm going to start off with this beauty. This is the Beaushells Cosmetics Karma Chameleon Indigo Quad, and this is an Australian indie brand that I am a huge fan of. This is the only product I have from this brand, but I'd love to get more. They made several different quads, like a green one, a brown one, an orange one, a blue one. And a friend of mine sent this to me. This shade right here is that smushy, almost like putty consistency. Just beautiful. I would say it's more of like a topper shimmer, but I have used it just by itself and it worked really, really well. And then we have this satiny shade here that's a duochrome. And then of course these 2 mattes that are just stunning. Love this brand. I do. I really do want to try more from this brand. And then I grabbed the Colourpop Berry Quad. Now, I'm not a big pink eyeshadow fan. However, this is a really nice quad. Beautiful. I really like the formula, blendability. applyability, all of that. I picked this up for my dear friend Julie. She's such a wonderful friend in my life, and she loves pink eyeshadows and she loves Colourpop. So I thought I'm gonna get a little pink palette from Colourpop and do a video for her. So that's why I picked this up. But I'm glad I did. I love it. It's really nice. And then the last one here is the e.l.f. Bite Size Hot Jalapeno palette. And these were, well, they were $3. Are these still $3? I hope they are. Everything just goes up in price, but I hope this stayed $3. Really a nice quality palette for a very cheap price. But I think no matter the price, I still do think it's a really nice quality palette. And I really like how the mattes perform, how the shimmers perform, just a really stellar, cheap palette. The next category is drugstore or affordable palettes. And I grabbed this one from Essence. This is the Ice Ice Baby palette. I think this was like, it was no more than $5. I think it was about $3 or $4. And it's little and it's cute. And I really like the way the shadows perform. I mean, it's not the best performing eyeshadow palette I have in my collection, but it is really nice. And I think this would be perfect for travel. And the price, I mean, you can't beat the price. And then I grabbed the Wet n Wild Color Icon, and this is either lights out or lights off. They made two different palettes, lights off and lights out, and I peeled the sticker off. Can't open this. So I'm not sure what it's called now. But it's just a really pretty cool tone color story. And it works really well. I picked this up at Walmart. I think it was like maybe $6. And I'm really glad that I have it because it just works great and it's cheap. I love cheap and good. That's great. And then I have the, what is this? Rimmel London Magnifies Electric Violet Edition. And I just got this at a whim at CVS. And I thought, well, I'll try it and see. And because I'd heard people say they liked it. Actually, I think I heard Jen Phelps say she liked it. And it works really well. The shimmers are kind of subtle, I would say. More subtle. They're not going to give you like a wah, but they're really pretty. And the mattes in here work really well too. And I think this was maybe $8. Now this category should be my top 3 high-end palettes that I have in my collection. Do I have 3 high-end eyeshadow palettes in my collection? I have a couple and they're just not really my favorites. So like I said at the beginning, I switched this to my top 3 large palettes in my collection. And I'm gonna start off with this beauty. This is the Be Perfect Stacy Marie Carnival Antidote palette. Jeez. The titles of the Be Perfect palettes throw me for a loop sometimes. And I actually picked this up because Ash, Makeup and Chaos, had used this on their channel, created such beautiful looks. And this was also on sale because I'm a bargain hunter. And I had to grab it. And I know this is huge, might seem kind of obnoxious, but I really don't care. I love large palettes. I'm not afraid to say it or ashamed to say it. I love them. And everything that I've used in this palette so far has worked really well. I did create... Did I do a 3 looks video, I think, with this, right? And this is another one I need to pull out soon. And I don't know why I did not include this palette in my top 20 fall palette ranking video, because this definitely says fall to me. Then we have the Beauty Bay Bright palette, and my dear friend and sister Cheryl recommended that I pick this up, and I'm thrilled that I did. It's gorgeous. Huge, but gorgeous. Tons of different rainbow options you have in this palette, and everything that I've used out of this palette so far, which I think I've pretty much used all the shades. There's probably 3 or 4 I haven't used yet. I don't know that I've used the top row much actually, but everything I've used in this palette has worked beautifully. It's a lovely rainbow color story. And the last one, I think this is the biggest palette I have in my collection, and this is the Morphe Such a Gem. This thing is kind of obnoxious. If I can open it. Gosh, I struggle. Do you guys struggle with opening eyeshadow palettes? I seem to struggle a lot. My favorite shades in this palette is this row, this middle row. They're called Silk shadows, I think, or silk toppers or something. I think, you know, they're designed to be more of a topper shimmer, but I've used them by themselves and they worked really well. I will say that some of the neutral shades in here, like the browns, I don't know that they're that necessary. But, you know, if someone wants to do a more neutral look and just add a pop of purple or pink, then, you know, this will work really well. You got tons of options in here. And then I created my own category, which is my top 3 nostalgic or sentimental palettes I have in my collection. And this palette right here, this is the Melt Amore Mariposa's palette, is very sentimental and very special and very nostalgic in my collection. My dear friend Andy Does Stuff, who I call my Andy girl, she sent this to me. And so, of course, that makes it very, very special. I adore Andy. She is one of my dearest friends. I love talking to her. I love watching her videos. I just love her. I love everything about Andy. So having this from her in my collection is very special. And also the packaging, it's got butterflies all over it. Let me show you the back too. The back's really pretty. And, you know, my mom has passed away and we're convinced that she's a butterfly. So I don't know, just, it's got a lot of different meaning meanings to me, this palette does. And I just love this color story, man. It's so beautiful. The greens, the neutral options, oranges, purples, wine, terracottas, you know, a lot of really fun options, and everything works really well in here. And this is a palette I could use pretty much, well, yeah, every day, and I'd be perfectly satisfied with my life. Number 2 is the Dream Street palette that Colourpop did in collaboration with Kathleen Lights. And this is the first real eyeshadow palette I ever got. My daughter got this for me. I can't ever remember if it was for Christmas or my birthday. Not that it really matters. It was a holiday. And this palette right here is what started my whole obsession with eyeshadows, with makeup. It's the reason I started my channel. I mean, I owe this palette a lot. I just love this palette so much. Out of all my palettes in my collection, this one is my bae. You know, it's like every time I look at it and I open it up or use it, I just get that warm, fuzzy feeling about makeup from this palette. It's so pretty. And I've panned several of the shades, which is really cool. I don't do that much anymore, if at all. And then the last one is a newer addition to my collection, but I bought a ton of this palette years ago. And this is the Shimmering Sands Trio from CoverGirl that my dear friend Julia just sent to me. I just filmed a video using this palette. Oops, I can keep it open. Isn't that beautiful? I mean, it's subtle and it's neutral, and I know this is not everybody's jam, but I just think she is beautiful. I love her. And I was so thrilled that Julia sent this to me. It really means a lot. Very sentimental value. This palette has a lot of sentimental value to me. And so the fact that she was willing to send this to me and, you know, just spoiled me by sending this to me and kind of bringing me back to my makeup roots really means a lot to me. Alrighty, so those were the different categories and the top 3 palettes I chose out of my collection for each category. I would love for you to do this video on your channel if you haven't yet done it already. And I want to say a huge thank you to Jan for giving me this idea. I feel like a complete horse's ass that I forgot I watched the video, and I will never live that down. And I don't care. I don't want to live it down. I mean, who does that? Who goes and watches a video and then forgets they watched the video? Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your lives to sit down and watch this video. If you're new here and you enjoyed what you saw, please consider subscribing, smash the like button, and of course, comment down below in the comment section. I love to chat with you guys there. If you've been here before, thank you so much for coming back. I cannot wait to see you guys again in my next video. But in the meantime, please take very good care of yourself. Be well, safe, happy. I'll see you soon. Bye.
Drop it.